Right, I'd like to introduce tonight's speakers to you. On my left, Ronald Lane, well-known psychoanalyst and writer. On my right, Stokely Carmichael, leader of Black Power, ex-chairman of SNCC. Next, Stokely is Allen Ginsberg, poet, who will open the meeting. On the extreme right is Emmett Grogan, from a free autonomous group in San Francisco called the Diggers. I leave you to their mercy.
Propositions are difficult. I don't have a completed proposition. I've heard some. The best experience I have had has been with the younger people in America and some few of my own generation who have had to confront the mass hallucination or style of consciousness or mode of consciousness into which we were born, and had some kind of mental breakthrough which clarified not only the nature of our own identity, which was also swept under by the mechanical society, but also the nature of others' identities as being the same as our own, that we are all one, and also the nature of the entire universe, perhaps, as what is very perplexingly a total illusion or maya. That is not necessarily to preclude our taking detached action within the situation. The most detached action that I have seen taken within the situation is the use of LSD by the younger people for the purpose of demystifying their own consciousness and arriving at some sort of common meet universe where they are sitting with Flowers, ourselves, and Mr. Carmichael, and thus being able to begin to relate as self to common self. Where this leads in terms of practical action, we have very small community groups in San Francisco, in New York, and in New York, beginning to leave the money wheel and also beginning to leave the hallucination wheel of the media, beginning to form small cooperatives, tribal units, societies of their own, beginning to share money or do without money, beginning to put on mass entertainment in the parks to raise the general awareness, not love power, but awareness power of their contemporaries, and then beginning to move in on authority with those weapons which have been called flower power. Flower power being euphemistic for a simple, calm, tranquil equilibrium, non-violent as far as possible, as far as the self can be controlled so that it can relate to other selves in disguise, including the police. Carmichael, earlier in the week, made a proposition which I thought was possible, though I don't think he thought it was possible, that if the hippies in America were able to confront the police with flowers in Newark, then he would be concerned with that as a political tactic. I think that, for my own inspiration, for my own desire, is the one area where I do feel desire for practical action. The question was, if I were living in a situation where I had not enough to eat and not enough clothes and presumably were in jail, maybe, or at the mercy of white power, would I be able to write my poetry? And I say, I have no idea, was my answer. The reason the hippies have taken on the beads, appurtenances, music of shamanistic groups, of ecstatic trance state types, is because they're beginning to explore for the first time the universe of consciousness of other cultures beside their own.
Mr. Ginsberg, I don't know much about the hippie movement, but I would like to beg to differ with you. I think the reason most of the hippies do that is because they're confused little kids who've run away from home and will return to their culture within a year or two.
There's no culture to return to.
Before I can find my individual self, I must find my group culture, obviously.
But we don't have a viable group culture, so we're in the same boat in that sense.
Not for me. I'm going to fight for me in a broader sense for other people.
We are surrounded by violence. The violence is falling on him, on the blacks. It's also, however, falling on all of us in the sense that it has been for a long time falling on the whites also in America, also in Russia.
That's things like this, going out in the street with masks, changing the way one dresses, changing the way one walks, challenging minute rules of etiquette, of conduct in all respects, in public.